Okay, hello YouTube. I'm Crypto Turtle. I'm here to deliver long-term macro charts on Bitcoin and crypto, and specifically to cover charts that nobody else really seems to talk about. We're going to come onto those in a few seconds. My thesis is that Bitcoin is going to millions of dollars. Everything's going to be tokenized. I'm not too worried about what my portfolio looks like in terms of dollars. I count my wealth in Bitcoin. And just a little bit about me. So I'm going to stay anonymous on this channel. You hear stories about people getting kidnapped and their fingers torn off looking for ransom money. No, thank you. But I have been in this market for many years, since early 2017. So this is my third cycle, riding the highs and the lows. I am not a day trader. If you're looking to make a great buck, go watch another channel. And I'm definitely not perfect. This is not financial advice. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. That obviously I am in profit, having hodled for so long. I do have a day job inside one of the larger L1 ecosystems and have a lot of friends who work within the crypto industry. And I believe very strongly in the whole thesis about Web3, decentralization, tokenization. So why suddenly set up a channel after all these years? As I'm sure you've seen, there's way too much clickbait, too much repetition, too much short-term thinking around crypto influencers here on YouTube. And I'm not looking to become an influencer so much. I want a small community with it. Look, it's through some different charts that I don't think other people are looking at. I'd love to get feedback for new guys in terms of what you're seeing, and really kind of, talk to real hodlers who are here for the long term and count their loss in Bitcoin, rather than, as I say, just looking to make a quick buck this week, next week. So we're going to look at the charts, but let's have a quick legal disclaimer. The content on this channel is for general information and entertainment purposes only. It is not financial, investment, or legal advice. I am not the Linked financial advisor. Always do your own research and speak to a qualified advisor before making financial decisions. Investing in cryptocurrencies carries high risk, and most retail traders lose money. Past performance is not a guide to future results. Okay, so the first chart we want to look at is the standard Bitcoin USD chart. This looks a bit messy, apologies, but I will walk you through it now. So what we have here is a Fibonacci channel. You'll probably see Fibonacci of other YouTube channels going horizontally, but I drew this one at this channel, and you'll see why. So this is drawn from the end of the 2018 bear market up to the first peak, and then it's angled to align with the top in April 2021. And you'll see here that actually, the bottom was hit, the bottom of the channel, in early January 2023. And on the way up over the last couple of years, there's actually respected these lines fairly well, not perfectly, but you'll see here that there was some clear resistance around this first yellow line, some resistance here at the green line, some resistance here at this blue line, and even on the support as well, this yellow line again, and so on and so forth. So even recently, this recent dip came back down to the green line. So, I am thinking that as we go up, the next resistance may well be here, around 160, 170, depending on what time we get there. And for the top of this bull market, potentially all the way up to back to the top of the channel at this green line here, the 1.618, at, around 400K. So that's kind of a very, very bullish outlook potentially based on this channel. This white line here, just FYI, is the top from the 2017 and the 2021 bull market. It's just carried over now. I am expecting, or not expecting, I should not say that, this is not financial advice, but I do think there's a reasonable chance that we actually hop slightly over the white line at the very top of the bull market. And that will kind of get everybody extremely bullish, thinking that we're going to millions, only for it to then come crashing straight back down into the bear market. And so actually hitting this blue line instead of the white line may well be a scenario that plays out. You'll also may have seen on Twitter this guy, Josh Mann, who predicted the 84K and is now predicting 444K as the top, which could align nicely actually with this blue line at the end of this year, another kind of Christmas, New Year top, which, Bitcoin has historically done before. Okay. Okay, so this is the chart that I'm actually most excited about sharing with you guys. So this is Bitcoin in USD, but divided by the M1 money supply. So there's different ways of calculating the money supply, M1, N2, N3. I'm not going to go into too much detail. You can Google that if you want. But basically, as the Federal Reserve prints money, does quantitative easing, as they did significantly throughout the pandemic, that distorts the value of the US dollar and therefore, I believe, changes the way in which we should be evaluating Bitcoin and indeed anything else. The problem with looking at it through a USD lens is that assumes that the purchasing power of a US dollar is constant, which it definitely is not. So let's have a look at this. So we can see here 2016, 2017 bull market looks pretty much the same as the standard charts because there was not too much money printing going on throughout here. And we come back down to the first bear market dip, up to the 14,000 USD or so, COVID dip here. And then this big red line here is basically caused by the money printing distorting the chart. So we actually formed a lower low, even though on the standard Bitcoin USD, you would have seen this here as a higher low, but we came back down and then the recovery, this whole bull market here in 2021 actually hit almost exactly the same line as we had already hit in June, July 2019, when the price was just at 14,000. So this is 64,000. And then again at 69,000 in November 2021. And really strong resistance here lasting many, many years, lasting 5-6 years before we eventually broke out in the early 2024. So this is kind of the ETF explosion up here. And then this big 7-8 month long consolidation. Now, a lot of people were surprised by this consolidation here. On this chart, it actually kind of makes sense because this is basically just retesting what was once resistance, and it's now kind of support. Now we did break through it. We kind of bounced around a little bit, but I believe what's happened is we have now reconfirmed this line, and we've therefore jumped up, come back down, reconfirmed this as a new support, and off we go again. And so it's actually only in the last sort of 6 months or so that we've broken out to a new all-time high in M1 terms. So, people talk about diminishing returns and they're expecting each cycle to get less and less in terms of the returns. I actually disagree. I think that there's a chance that this bull market is going to be much more significant than the last one, because the last one was not really a true bull market. This was just a correction back up to resistance caused by the money printing, rather than because there was really, a big rush of new entrants into the space. This is a true bull market caused by institutional adoption. That is the way that I see it. So what does this mean in terms of next steps? Well, the next big resistance, it's here. Now it says 0.224. Don't worry too much about the number. Look at the ratio. So right now it says 0.11. So 0.24 would align, I believe, with around 220,000 USD. The blue line here, the 1.618, would align with around 350,000, if I'm correct. And I mentioned the 444. If you do the maths and you look here, so imagine this is a inverse head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, inverted, obviously. And then you draw this up, so this distance, that here again from the breakout, we get to around 0.46. And 0.46 divided by 0.11 multiplied by the current Bitcoin price gets you to around 440. So that would be a pretty funny outcome, I think, if we were to get all the way up here and actually sort of show this as a useful chart. Okay, so using the same principles of dividing by M1, I actually want to share this one as well, which is the total 3. So this is the altcoin market. This is excluding Bitcoin and excluding Ethereum. And you can see here that it looks a little bit different from the normal total 3 chart. But just starting on the total 3 chart very quickly, you can see that I've got another Fibonacci channel similar to the Bitcoin. And this one's drawn a little bit differently. I'm not going to get into too much depth here, except to say that, yeah, again, this worked out pretty well for me. The deep bottom here in October 2023 aligns well with the first original top, and the top's here at the 2.618. So this is kind of the chart that I mainly use looking at it in USD. And if we were to come back up to the top of this channel, we're looking at around 3.13 trillion, maybe 3.5 trillion, depending on how long it takes to get there. If we were to go crazy up to like the 10 trillion at the next line, but to be honest, I'd be pretty happy just up here. We'll see what happens. But let's get back to divided by M1, because I think this is actually even more interesting. On this chart, there's some support here by this white line, but that's just lasting the last near 18 months or so. When you look at this divided by M1, the support line goes all the way back to the deck in April 2020. So we have got this support line all the way since the pandemic. We also have this resistance, which from all the way back in December 2017, with another touch in November 2021. And we have just broken out of this line, and it has come back down and confirmed this now, I hope, as support, just in the last couple of months, almost to the dollar breaking down and retouching this line. Now, on the when you don't look at divided by M1, it's much more difficult to draw that line. You can draw lines in the short term, but there's no long-term trend here. The multi-year trend lines, which, the longer the trend line, the more touches it has, the more valuable it is really when you divide it by M1. And this is quite exciting, actually, that we've just broken out, reconfirmed support, staying above this trend line that's now lasted for 5 years, and breaking above this key 786. We're just below it right now, but we're kind of messing around with it. I would not be surprised to see it break up and head north from here. So we'll see what happens. But just a flavor of, I think, what happens when you factor in the devaluation of the dollar into your charts, rather than trying to view it through the lens of the US dollar being constant in terms of purchasing power, because it is not. And this is something that I think is really important to understand when you're making your investment decisions. So we have got some other stuff here, since of Bitcoin dominance and so on. I think I'm going to leave that to the next channel, the next video, I should say. I have no idea if this, my first episode on YouTube, will get a single view or not. This is not something that I have too much experience with. Let's see what happens. But I will come back and make a second video and talk a little bit more about Bitcoin dominance and what I see happening in the total market. Okay, so just to wrap it up here, thanks for your time if you're still watching this. Just to reiterate, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes. This is just for ideas here to think about. Do your own research. Most people in this market will lose most of their money most of the time. So, only do what you're willing to lose. And, it's just episode 1. If you saw this as valuable and you would like to see more, please do subscribe, give it a like, give it a comment. Any criticism or feedback, much appreciated. This is kind of a bit of an experiment for me to see if people value my thesis and the way in which I look at this market. It's slightly different way to the rest of the YouTubers out there. I don't really want to be doing sort of clickbaity stuff. I want to keep these videos short and to the point. If you like that, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and I'll be out with some more analysis soon. Have a great day.